So I feel like every NBA fan has a few players who, for whatever reason, you just can't give up on because you think they've got something and they just haven't been able to show it yet. And I have 4 of those players for you. The first one is Josh Hart, who was, I guess, the least important player moved in the Anthony Davis trade. I'll be honest, I legit believe Josh Hart can average like 16, 17 points a game because I've seen him at times put up almost that amount, an efficient like 13, 14 a game. The thing is with Hart is it's like he always has these moments, or he'll start the season well and then he kind of tapers off. I mean, hell, you can look at the first 4 games of this season. He put up, like 16, 17 in just those games alone, and then he followed that up with like a 3-point game, and then he had a couple more double-digit games, and to me, a lot of it is his shooting. I mean, he is a good shooter, but I think he has room to become a great one, and I'm a little puzzled as to why he's not a better one, because I don't think there's a glaring problem with his shot, and I feel like if he was able to just shoot, I don't know, just a few more threes a game, I feel like he could give you a solid like 16 points a game, and his size is good at 6'5". I think he's gotten a little better as a ball handler, but I don't know, through 3 years in the NBA, he's just been he's been an NBA player. He's been a rotation guy, certainly, but I feel like he's the idea of Josh Hart has been a little better than the actual Josh Hart, but something about it, I just feel like he can go to some other level as a guy who can be a shooter, defender, and do a little bit off the dribble. The next one is Jakob Poeltl of the San Antonio Spurs. He plays 16 minutes a game, and his on-off numbers since basically he showed up in the NBA have all been good. His teams have been better when he's in the game. That was the thing for Toronto. Although, in his rookie season, they were a little worse with him. But ever since then, for 3 years now, Poeltl has made his teams better when he's played. And he's a really disciplined big. He just does all the basic big man things. But to me, Poeltl can be an awesome rim protector. Who would be a comparison? I honestly want to say like Miles Turner last year, where for a decent chunk of the season, I was saying Miles Turner was an all-defense or a defensive player of the year candidate. Maybe like a shade lower than that, so if you will, Miles Turner of this season, perhaps. I don't know, I just think Poeltl has a lot of good defensive instincts, and I feel like he can alter shots, and, his block shots have been interesting. I mean, if you want to look at his per 36, he would average about 3 block shots this year. I think that's pretty good, right? And also, in the 965 minutes that Poeltl played this year, when he was out there, the Spurs were about the 10th best defensive team in the league, and whenever he didn't play, they were about 25th. I know he's not a flashy big man, and I know there's times where he looks a little soft on the boards or whatever, but if you've got 3 years of evidence that you make your team better when you're out there, I feel like at a certain point you deserve some more playing time, Now, maybe if Poeltl played 27 minutes a game, it would be revealed that he just can't handle that many minutes and he'd be playing against starters more often and stuff, but I think he's good. He's also been an efficient offensive player. I mean, he shoots, about 70% at the rim throughout his career, so I think he's good. I think Poeltl's a good player. Next up, Troy Brown Jr. of the Washington Wizards. I was high on him the moment he was drafted. I believe I put him in a video where I said 5 non-lottery picks who could become stars. The dude's got point guard skills. He's 6'7", but he can really go off the dribble and he can make some plays. And not just the basic plays, but he can pull off some passes to teammates, and he can have moments of reading defenses where you're like, oh, wow, this dude could really be a playmaker. And I hope that he doesn't just get forgotten in the Wizards' everything, pretty much. I mean, he was forgotten in his rookie season, which I still don't understand. I mean, he was only playing however many minutes he was playing. It simply wasn't enough, and hopefully they just give him the ball and let him really go to work. Now, there's questions about his shooting and probably his scoring overall, but he's a taller wing who can go off the dribble and make plays for teammates, and he's also a good rebounder, so I feel like he could be like one of those wings who get you like 6 assists and 6 rebounds a game. I think he's also got some good defensive potential as well, so could round out to being a pretty strong all-around player. If he really popped with his defense, then perhaps there's an Iguodala comparison, but he would really need to become good at that stuff. So we don't know, but I do like Troy Brown. And the last one is Dario Saric. He's on the Suns right now. Saric, he had a quote where he said he felt like he didn't get a fair chance, and I believe it was Minnesota. That's too bad because that could have been perfect. Saric next to Towns and spacing and all that. With Saric, he's 6'10", but sometimes he looks like a 2-guard. He can go off the dribble some. He's been a good 3-point shooter so far. He hasn't been amazing. I would like to see what would happen if he got more attempts. I think you could argue sometimes that he floats around a little too much and doesn't have like one distinct thing that he's really good at offensively. So perhaps he needs something to become awesome at, but even with that, he's been an efficient player. Like, his true shooting is 55% for his career, which is, to me, pretty solid for a guy who hasn't found the perfect spot. You'd think it would be Phoenix because he could be the 4 next to Ayton. I mean, Saric has played a lot of minutes this season. But it hasn't totally clicked yet, and there's a chance it'll never click, and maybe Saric just simply isn't that great, but I feel like there's an avenue for him to be a hell of an offensive player of just doing a lot of stuff, like grabbing a rebound and then bringing it up floor himself, hitting an open 3, doing some stuff off the dribble in the half court. So yeah, that's it. I got 4 players. I know that the rule on YouTube is you do 5 or 10. I found 4, okay? It was once again Josh Hart, Jakob Poeltl, Troy Brown, and Dario Saric. I think if I was going to try to rank these guys real quick in terms of like who I'm most sure of, I think Josh Hart would be number 1, Poeltl 2, Saric 3, Troy Brown number 4. And yeah.